I was born March 12, 1944 in Bastrop, Texas. My family, my mother is Ardelia Williams, my father is Johnny Williams, and I am number 6 child out of 12 siblings, 6 brothers and 5 sisters. What was it like growing up in Bastrop, Texas? Well, actually, we lived in the country outside of Bastrop, Texas, so all of our activities were playing in the yard with the other children in the family and just enjoying each other. It was a lot of work growing up because we had to share the chores and look after each other. And so we were a close-knit family where everybody shared everything. Everybody had a chore. So, you know, from house cleaning to milking the cows, collecting the eggs from the chickens, and bringing in wood to heat the house. Those are the kind of things that we were involved in at that time. We lived in the country, so my dad farmed all the time, so we worked on the farm as well. During Thanksgiving and all the holidays that we participated in, always family gatherings with all of the food and the family, uncles, aunts, cousins, brothers and sisters, everybody gathered. And for the most part, we all shared at our house. Everybody came to our house all the time. We never really went to other people's houses. Growing up, the closest I think I was to was my brother that's 2 years older than me. We shared the same grade. We started school from elementary school all the way through high school, the same grade. My older sisters were much older than me, like 10 and 12 years old. So I grew up in the middle of some boys. And so I had my brother is 2 years older than me, and then I had a cousin that was a little bit older than me that I looked up to as well. The hobbies growing up were kind of few, but I really always liked to read whatever I could get my hands on reading. And well, of course, we didn't have television until later, so it wasn't any TV. And then the rest of the time was spent just playing with family and participating in the chores. Believe it or not, elementary school for me, I started elementary school when I was 4 years old. And that's unusual because normally you start at 6, first grade. However, I always wanted to go. I followed my oldest sister wherever she went. So when she went to school, of course, we went to school in the country, and the teacher allowed me to go to school with my sister. So as a result, that's how my brother and I ended up in the same grade from elementary school all the way, because he's 2 years older than me, and he was starting first grade, and I went to school and the teacher let me come even though I wasn't old enough to go. So I started elementary school when I was 4 years old, unofficially. I learned how to read. In fact, I could read better than my brother. and he was legitimately in school. So as a result of that, we had a one-room schoolhouse on our property called Haywood Elementary School. So I went from first grade to 8th grade at Haywood Middle School in the country. That we walked to school every day. And you couldn't act up, because if you did, the teacher would get you at school, and then they would take you home and tell your parents, and you would be in trouble at home as well. So that's what elementary school was like for me. High school experience, I went to high school, and we rode the bus from our house, from home to high school, Emile High School in Bastrop, Texas. I think I was the youngest student in my class, and my graduating class had like less than 20 students in it. I graduated from Emile High School in 1960 as the valedictorian of my class. Well, college for me was the next step in my education. I was not the first one in the family to go to college, but I was the first one to graduate from college. My sister, my older sister, and my older brother both went to college. One went to Houston-Tillotson College, one went to Prairie View. I attended Houston-Tillotson College in Austin, Texas, for 4 years. I think I made the dean's list every semester except one. And my major was mathematics, my minor is Spanish. And I got tired of going to school. I almost dropped out in my junior year. But then I realized that, because I had a job at that time, I was cleaning house for a lady on Saturday, so I have extra money. And I did not like it, and the reason I didn't drop out of college is because I never wanted to do that. I did not want to do that job for the rest of my life. So as a result, I stayed in school, and I graduated in 1964. Houston-Tillotson College with a Bachelor of Arts in Mathematics. My career started as a teacher in Bryan, Texas. Immediately out of college, I got a job in Bryan, Texas. I bought my first car when I graduated from high school. My oldest brother taught me how to drive, took me to take my driving test, and I got a driver's license and I bought a car. So I got a job in Bryan, Texas at Kemp High School. And it was interesting because I graduated Houston-Tillotson at 20. I was 20 years old when I graduated. I began Houston-Tillotson when I was 16. I graduated at 20. And when I went to teach school in Bryan at 20 years old, I was teaching math, and my students were they were high school students. And the kids always would say, "Oh, I bet there's somebody in this class that's as old as you are." And I thought, oh my God. And then, but for sure, for real, there was a student in my class that was as old as I was at that time. But when I was teaching in Bryan, I really didn't like teaching school. I just didn't like it because I thought the students weren't learning. And it had to be because of me. I thought I wasn't doing a good job. So as a result, I didn't like teaching, so I quit. After Bryan, Texas, I stopped teaching, and I had my daughter in 1966, and then I moved to Dallas, and I worked for an insurance company for a few years. And of course, I didn't like that job because it was a desk job. It was in my area of expertise because it was figuring life insurance premiums, so I could use my math skills. But it was an office job. It was a desk job. And so it wasn't really exciting to me at that point. So I did that for a few years, and after that, I moved to California in 1969. And I didn't go back into education immediately. I went to work for a bank. I worked for Wells Fargo Bank for a few years. But then my daughter was 3 years old, and it was just she and I. And I needed more time with her. So I needed more time to spend because it was just the two of us. So at that point, I went back to teaching. I got a job in LA Unified School District at Adams Junior High School so that we could go to school in the morning together, and then I'd have more time in the evening with her. So that's how I got back into education. And I spent 35 years as a teacher in LAUSD, as a counselor, as an administrator. And I retired from LAUSD as an assistant principal after 35 years. When I came to California, it was like another part of the world because I had not traveled before that. The first time that I came to California, my husband was in the Navy, so I was teaching school in Bryan, Texas, and he was in the Navy, I was in Texas. So for Christmas vacation, I came to California on Christmas vacation, and it was awesome. I had a great time here. I loved it. So when I decided I was going to leave Dallas, I thought, I'm going to California. I'm going to California because everything was different. It was just different. The environment was different. The trees were different. Everything palm trees, you don't see palm trees in Texas. None of that. The weather was different. It was always sunny and just nice weather. It wasn't cold. No snow, hardly any rain, that kind of thing. It was really nice. And I guess even today, the most thing that impressed me the most is the weather. I don't think I could get used to any other place because the weather, for the most part, is always the same here. But I was fortunate enough to connect with people that took an interest in me in helping me to maintain and to stay afloat and to succeed, I guess, in life. And so as a result, I was able to find friends and family. I found a church home that was small, and it was the reason I liked that church, and I'm there today at that church 50 years later because of this, is because when I went to that church, it was like a family. And it reminded me so much of my family because it was small. It was a small church. Everybody knew everybody, and everybody took care of everybody. So it really reminded me of family. And so that's how I got to Pilgrim's Hope Bible Church. And as a result, I'm still there today. I think one of the things that really helps me to manage the stress in my life is going back to observing my dad growing up and how he was just always so calm. And my mom always said to me, like, you're just like your dad. She would always say that, you're just like your dad. And as I grew up, it really kind of dawned on me, and as I became an adult, it kind of dawned on me that, yeah, she may be right. I'm a lot like her in the sense that I can express myself and I can talk when I need to talk and that kind of thing. But it was like you really hear what's going on and you observe situations, but you don't always respond to it right away. You give yourself an opportunity to try and analyze what's going on and to see what kind of impact, what can you do? And if you really can't solve the issue, what's the point in really worrying about it? Because I realize from a spiritual perspective is that today we're going through. Nothing has come to stay for long. And so if I get through today, tomorrow's going to be another opportunity to do it differently, even if I mess up today, or to do something more. If today succeeds, then I can do much more tomorrow. And so I just kind of weigh it out, see how things are going to go, and don't panic because it's going to be different tomorrow. The importance of family that I would pass on to the next generation is that number one, family will always be there. And the thing is that you don't always agree with everything that goes on in the family, but you always support family. And you can disagree and argue and debate issues or whatever, but when it comes down to it, we're all family, and family will always be there.